What up, guys? It's Cal Crypto. I am back. I know it's been a long time. I've been lost in the woods, camping, snowboarding, just doing my thing here in Colorado. The summer's here. It's absolutely beautiful. I apologize. I know the crypto markets have been crazy. Disclaimer, I have not sold a single thing. I do not plan on selling. And I hope that in this video, I can explain to you why. So let's just start out. I mean, it's been a while since we've talked on this channel. So Bitcoin has obviously corrected 40, 56% since its all-time highs. And that is concerning, especially if you just got into crypto this cycle. And it's funny because you're going to see stuff on China banning Bitcoin and Bitcoin crashes. Guys, Bitcoin was $3,000 just a year and some change ago. So if a crash is a 10x, then I don't know if that's considered a crash, but you'll see these articles come out, and FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt will keep coming out and keep coming out and keep coming out. And we're going to explain how this is all interconnected. And you can think of this as some conspiracy factor, but guys, this is just how life is. This is just how institutions at power work. And this is just how, mainstream markets are influenced, including Bitcoin now. Bitcoin is not, it doesn't abstain from the influence of hedge funds and big money managers, as unfortunate as that is. So obviously you can see we've had quite the correction. If I show you guys from the top, it was all the way to the wick of 30K. It was about 53%. Pretty gnarly, right? Well, not really. I mean, this has happened many, many times. To put this in perspective, right? If I look at when in doubt, zoom out. You'll hear that a lot. It's a saying, when you're in doubt, zoom out of the chart. Right here, this little blimp on the radar, that was a 50%, or actually that was a bigger than 50% crash. So I remember watching the charts live that day. That was the COVID crash. That was from around 10,000 to a wick to like 3,800. Guys, this was the 2018 cycle. So as the halving keeps happening, as the economic protocol in Bitcoin keeps doing what it's made to do, these cycles, this big cycle that used to look like this, turns into these small blimps on the radar. And unfortunately, you just have to hold and invest what you can afford to lose and cost dollar average in. Guys, my very first video, if you haven't seen it, talks about the top 10 things I wish I knew as a crypto investor going back that I could teach myself. And it's like, don't panic, don't FOMO, invest what you can, and just put money in on a scheduled basis and don't even look at it. Because in 10 years, that's how you invest. That's how you become wealthy. You don't become wealthy FOMOing into shit coins like Shiba Inu. And God bless you guys if you have been out there investing in those projects like SafeMoon. I'm not a financial advisor, but please, guys, do not follow TikTokers and influencers for financial advice. Like, they more than likely just, I don't want to say they don't know what they're doing, because I'm not going to generalize, but I'm not going to follow an 18-year-old TikToker's advice on SafeMoon to the moon. If you look at the project, it has no fundamental value. So the shit coins are out there. Be aware and invest, and just keep averaging in, guys. I don't change my stance from my first video. Just stay calm, don't panic, and let's get into why you should not panic. So this pumped the price a little bit. Ray Dalio, if you guys don't know him, he's a very, very successful investor, and many people follow and use his sentiment as gold. They'll use what he thinks as financial advice because he's Ray Dalio. It's like Charlie Munger or Warren Buffett. They're incredibly famous for their investing picks and becoming extremely wealthy and investing like smart investors, which means cost dollar averaging in and or dollar cost averaging in and just doing the fundamental plays that separates the wealthy people from the people who panic sell or get scared out or FOMO into markets and get wrecked. So he basically came out and said that I own Bitcoin, and he says that Bitcoin's greatest risk is its success. Oddly enough, I think what he means by that is the government is going to have more and more eyes upon Bitcoin as it grows larger and larger and larger and larger. If you follow this channel, you know that the government can't do anything about Bitcoin because it's decentralized and there's no central party that owns Bitcoin. It's dispersed among thousands of nodes across the world. You can't really control that. That's the beauty of what Satoshi Nakamoto had in his vision. So he just talks about how he's worried that the governments will crack down on it as they lose more control. But he does prefer Bitcoin to bonds. He claims, I'm not a Bitcoin cryptocurrency expert, but he suspects that Bitcoin's biggest risk is being successful, because if it's successful, the government will try and kill it, and they have a lot of power to succeed. So he's still kind of on this government FUD narrative, which is a valid concern, especially if you're new to Bitcoin. But once you study Bitcoin, you realize that that possibility is, more and more slim over time, especially when you look at how many public and private companies own Bitcoin now. It just doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. I think the IRS is going to prefer to tax it rather than destroy, a source of revenue. It's like building a business. If you have a business and a brand new stream of revenue pops up for you in an entire new asset class, are you going to tax that, or are you going to kill that? You're going to keep that door open so you can keep the gains flowing to your organization, the IRS. So he's saying that the world's going to change at an incredibly fast pace, and whoever wins the technology race wins it all. Guys, this could not be more true. Uber, Airbnb, any innovation or technology that disrupts a legacy system, taxis, hotels, cryptocurrency, banking, it's got a huge market share to capture, and it's got a lot of potential to grow. So that's why I'm such a cryptocurrency fan, is because it seems to have the most potential for disrupting a massive, massive, massive piece of market share. So he just says in this article, he likes Bitcoin, he bought it, and that he's scared if it succeeds too well, then the government will shut it down. Okay. But he does say that he prefers it to bonds. So that's pretty crazy. If you have one of the biggest investors in the world coming out and saying that he prefers something to bonds, which is, a traditional investor's best friend, right? It's the most secure asset. It's government debt. You can't go wrong. Of course, bonds aren't doing incredibly well this day and age, but if they were yielding 8-10% like back in the day, that's a pretty awesome investment if you have a good chunk of change to throw in there and sit on that yield. But anyway, guys, Ray Dalio news, one of the most famous investors in the world. He's been on the fence about Bitcoin for a long time. He's finally in. Now, let's get to why you really shouldn't panic. So an interesting tweet came out. I'm not a big Twitter guy, but there's some good crypto news on here. Crypto Twitter, CT. 2 comma Popper. Popper, I think that's how you say it. This guy's apparently an ex-corporate guy, and he was obviously managing some serious wealth, or he was messing around with markets in the way that institutions do. And he basically has this entire thread on how market manipulation is real. And he's basically saying that I have the inside info on FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt, and how he messed with markets by, his own experience, having blood on his hands. Like, he's done this personally. He knows what it's about. He says it's decently detailed, which it is. And he goes into the intro. So he just says, I'm a senior exec. Basically, I was an important guy in a company that had, a bigger profit and loss statement than most small nations. So obviously it was a big firm or a big company, whatever he worked for. They were highly regulated. Obviously, they did a lot of work because they had over 125 licenses in 100 jurisdictions, according to this guy. So big exec, manages a lot of money or messes with a lot of money. He says in 2016, he basically went full into crypto and he launched a service company that did these four things: legal and regulatory, solidity development, so making these shit coins that some of you have probably invested in. Get out while you can. Not a financial advisor. Marketing and PR, pumping your bags to the moon, saying that, putting bullish articles out there that pumps your bags, making coins go up. And then OTC, that's over the counter. If you're not familiar, that means it's a way smart money or big money can buy and sell and not impact the market as much. It's not like placing a $6 billion order on Coinbase, because obviously that would post a massive green candle and the order books would go crazy. So they have this special backdoor that big money uses called OTC, which is relevant in all markets, to essentially not influence the market in a big way up or down, if you want to think about it like that. So he basically says we served 50 clients, mostly vanilla ERC20s, which means like that's an Ethereum token. And he just goes on to saying, like, we did a lot of stuff involving physical gold for private banks, but in similarities like SKRs and blah, 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 things in crypto for these specific clients. And then he said they manage a lot of sentiment. So like, the market feeling management on their OTC desks. So he said, basically you're a fund, right? And Bitcoin pumps to the moon. It's at 65,000. And you're so mad because you were going to buy it, but you just couldn't get the regulatory framework pushed out fast enough. You just couldn't get it done. So what does this guy's service do? He brings the boat back for you, right? They have that saying, when retail misses the boat's gone. When institutions miss the boat, they bring the boat back. So he basically says, what you do is you call us. What flavor of dip would you like, sir? Flash crash, liquidity hunt. Excellent choice. The end of the bull market. So he starts this process by obviously making the prices fall, so these clients can get in and scoop up cheap Satoshis. So step one, they lay the groundwork. They pay several low-tier media outlets to publish bearish news: China FUD, environmental impact, Bitcoin's used for criminals, but they do not promote it on their channels. It sits there for now. So that's step one. Step two, pay several contributors to Bloomberg, Forbes, etc. to publish hot takes on the story citing the article. It's as easy as the starving writer meme is real. They're desperate for fresh content. Compensation is tied to the amount of traffic their stories generate. He even shares this spreadsheet on some of the cost and what it might be to influence these larger media outlets. Granted, like, I'm not saying this is totally legitimate, guys. I'm just saying so far it's sounding like a pretty solid framework. So he basically, step one, lays the groundwork with the bearish news. Step two, he gets desperate writers, hooked on this hot story that will then, be cited by these larger news outlets. And then he says the content's on some low tier news sites. And then you basically start hitting up every writer to FOMO them into the story. Like, hey man, you're missing the story. Did you see this story on China FUD? And China's banning Bitcoin again. And oh my God, have you seen the environmental tweet about Elon Musk and Bitcoin mining? And then this gets everyone to publish these stories. Boom, 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 boom. They're everywhere. And from here, everyone thinks it's legit because it's all the way from News BTC to some of the biggest websites for crypto news you can find. So then crypto Twitter, which is CT, they start tweeting stuff with the words ban and hack in. This algorithm picks that up and their tweets are pushed to the top, and then everything looks bearish. Just like everywhere you go, it's like panic, panic, panic. So the worst thing you can do is be tied into social media when all this happens. So Now that the panic is just full send to the moon, they basically say, all right, so let's find the thinnest order books and dump the prices there. So this causes a flash crash, which then, if you guys don't know about leverage trading, this basically gets everyone who's leverage trading borrowing crypto that they don't have to make more crypto, but putting up collateral. So if they're wrong, that platform takes their collateral away, and then they lose their money, and then it's essentially sold, and then that drives the price down more, and then stop losses are activated for the smart people who are saying, I'm going to take a risk on this trade, but if I lose this much, 5%, then automatically sell my order, I'm out. All of their stop losses hit, and then all the people who are over leveraged start to get liquidated, aka the platform says, hey, we have to sell your collateral, you lose everything in this trade. And that is what causes a 12K dip in Bitcoin in a few hours. That's it. I mean, and this is, and then on top of that, he says, this gets retail to panic. And then it cascades on the stop losses, the liquidations, blah, 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 blah. And then they call up their client and go, yep, they dumped it. Go ahead and come on in now. Prices where you want it. All right, good working with you. Done. And as crazy as this is, this happens in all markets, guys. I mean, retail owns 20% of the stock market. The stock market in the US, I think, is a $50 trillion market. So if you don't think that prices can't get affected by the people at the top, like, newsflash, it's not a conspiracy at this point. It's like, if you guys weren't following the GME story, that was actually pulling the curtain aside and showing the Wizard of Oz, the market manipulators, with their pants down. Like, everyone knew at that point that hedge funds and big money does not lose. They literally lost billions shorting GameStop, and a few people on the internet short squeezed them, and they just got bailed out, and they just got more money, and they just got bailed out, and they just came back, made their money. They don't lose, guys. That's what I'm trying to get you to understand, is they don't lose. Where you can lose everything if you go and leverage trade and you act a fool, they don't lose. They can leverage trade everything, lose it all, and still come back. This is why we need a decentralized finance system where you can't do things like this anymore. And unfortunately, it might just be like this forever. Not to be a doomer, I'm just saying that Bitcoin is subject to these kinds of market manipulations. So there you have it. Mr. 2 comma, I don't know how legitimate he is, but he seems to know market terminology, and he seems to have, a pretty believable story at this point. I mean, I'm not saying it's that crazy. On the lighter side of things, Bitcoin will be manipulated. Bitcoin will be tampered with, but you don't lose if you don't sell. Okay, so don't invest all you have. Just invest what you can afford to lose. Buy the dips, play the long term, and these moves really won't affect you, because you're going to look back 4 years from now and none of this will matter. And it's funny because the guy who started this, everyone thinks Elon Musk started this dump, and he might have influenced it in some way, for sure. But basically, there's a tweet here from Michael Saylor, and he's talking about a Bitcoin mining council. So he met with Elon Musk and himself, representing the North American Bitcoin miners and how they're dedicated to a transparent Bitcoin mining initiative. And Elon Musk tweeted something like, wow, this is promising for Bitcoin mining, and the price pumped like $1,400. But it just goes to show that Bitcoin is moving. It's becoming more of an established community. It's becoming more of a worldwide economy. It's becoming a new asset class. Goldman Sachs, there's so much news, guys. That's the thing. I don't even know what to bring you anymore, because every single day there's so much news about Bitcoin, good or bad, that I can't keep up. I mean, I just watching it and reading it myself is a lot. So trying to bring you guys content, and I'm going to get better about posting here more. But it's insane. Like Bitcoin is, I don't know how anyone could be really bearish on Bitcoin. Like it's not going anywhere. Like in 2017, the first article emerged and it was like Bitcoin's this thing, it's around 20K. Now it's this thing that you see reports on every day. So something I wanted to clear up a little bit is there's Jackie in the background. Bitcoin mining. So is it actually environmentally unfriendly? And this is a great article on Coinbase. It goes into talking about how miners are incentivized to find the cheapest energy sources possible. And excess power that's being wasted is basically being absorbed by the miners to try and bring down their major overhead, which is electricity. It says half of global mining takes place in this province of China, where excess hydroelectric power basically is used to mine Bitcoin, which they essentially, benefits them for getting free Bitcoin for using cheap electricity. So 75% of miners already use renewable energy. So you probably heard about the energy FUD, and Bitcoin's going to destroy the environment in the world, and Bitcoin's energy consumption uses more than some small countries. But energy consumption versus carbon footprint are two different things, guys. So please, 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 before you listen to your grandma or your grandpa or your dad or your mom or CNBC, just go out there and dig a little bit. You'd be surprised what you find. It even goes into debunking this myth about how Bitcoin's incompatible with a healthy environment. It's just not true, guys. And like Bitcoin miners want to use renewables. It's cheaper for them. It's more profitable. Every single business looks for one thing, how to cut their bottom line. Bitcoin miners are no different. I think Satoshi knew this as well, that they would go for renewable energies. And you guys got to remember the macro picture, right? I don't know if anyone follows this, but basically inflation was the worst it's been in a long time. And I don't know if you guys have noticed it. Me and my girlfriend have noticed it going to the store, just buying our simple goods and services. Prices are going up. And the CPI, which actually is not even that accurate at producing inflation information, shows this very well. So think what you will. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion, but I don't know if we'll see a spike in inflation and come back down. But if inflation continues on at this pace, this is where Bitcoin's going to shine, guys. And this is where Ray Dalio, that invested in Bitcoin for the reason that he thinks it's a better hedge than bonds against inflation, you're going to see that narrative start to play out. And that's just something to think about. So it's an insurance policy. That's what I told you in my first video, and I still believe in that. This just goes into all the things that have gone up in price. And surprisingly enough, used cars went up 10%. So if you own a used car, congratulations. Went up 10% in value. But I don't know. You guys digest this. I know it was a lot. I know we had some to catch up on. But I'm still here. Don't panic. Hold your bags. Dollar cost average in. And stay calm, because it's all just noise at the end of the day. People coming to me saying, I bet you wish you sold, bro. No, I don't. I don't wish I sold, because I've just been holding and it's been working out great. And the people who were holding years before me, wow, they're doing extremely well. So I hope to be one of them in the next 10 years or 5 years, but it's not easy to get there because of stuff like the news and FUD and the media and institutions pushing prices down, trying to get you to sell. So just keep your wits about you. Think about what you're doing and where you're going with your investment and why you invested in the first place. And hopefully that would put you at ease. And on days where things are popping off and there's just FUD everywhere, turn off your phone, go for a walk, clear your head. Don't play into your emotions. Every single trader and investor will tell you trading and investing on emotion are a terrible idea. So take a breath, think about it. That's pretty much all for this one, guys. Until the next one, peace.